So this morning we will read from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 10, the Path of Lord Krishna to Dvaraka, text 17. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sitata-patram chahraha muktadama vibhushitam ratna-dandam kudakesha priya priya tamasyaha. So the word-for-word translation. Sita atapatram, a shooting umbrella. Shagraha took up. Muktadama, decorated with laces and pearls. Vibhushitam, embroidered. Ratnadandam, with a handle of jewels. Udakesha, Arjun, the expert warrior, or one who has conquered sleep. Priyaha, most beloved. Priyatamasya, of the most beloved. Ha, so he did. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki. At that time, Arjun, the great warrior and conqueror of sleep, who is the intimate, a friend of the most beloved Lord, took an umbrella which had a handle of jewels and was embroidered with lace and pearls. Purport: gold, jewels, pearls, and valuable stones were used in the luxurious royal ceremonies. They are all nature's gifts and are produced by the hills, oceans, etc., by the order of the Lord. When man does not waste his valuable time in producing unwanted things in the name of necessities, by so-called development of industrial enterprises, people are now using pots of gutta percha instead of metals like gold, silver, brass, and copper. They are using margarine instead of pure butter, and 1/4 of the city population has no shelter. So, I read the verse again. At that time, Arjun, the great warrior and conqueror of sleep, who is the intimate friend of the most beloved Supreme Lord, took an umbrella which had a handle of jewels and was embroidered with lace and pearls. Om Ajnanatimandasya Jnanjala Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namah Chittayamanopistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svamupkadam Ayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shio Shiyuda Padkamlam Shigam Vaishnavamsha Shirupam Jagajatam Saganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sadjivan Sadvaitam Savaduttam Parjan Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Saganalita Shivishakam Vitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Chatpate Gopisha Gopka Kantarad Kantanamastute Tapta Kansana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishavani Sutadeve Pranamama Haripriya Pachakalpta Bhashakhe Pasin Vivasa Patnam Pavanavyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Chiadvaitra Dada Shiva Sadgam Rabhaktavana. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishnu Bhutale. Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani. Namaste Saraswata Devi Gauravani Pracharani. Nirvashisa Srinivadi Paskatya Desatarani. Srila Prabhupada ki. Srila Prabhupada mentioned many times that Arjuna is Gudakesh. Gudakesh means conqueror of sleep. Conqueror of sleep means also conqueror of ignorance. That Srila Prabhupada in a lecture says that the most intelligent people, like the six Goswamis, they had very little sleep, only 2 hours. That so conqueror of sleep. And here we see he was affectionately serving the Supreme Lord by protecting him against the sun with an umbrella, which had a handle of jewels and was embroidered with lace and pearls. So Prabhupada in the purport says, by so-called development of industrial enterprise, people are now using pots of gutta percha instead of metals like gold, brass, and copper. I was thinking gutta percha. So I will try to show you a picture of a pot of gutta percha. But first I have to stop sharing this. Gutta percha is made from a plant. Well, it's made from trees, the sap of trees, and that sap is called latex. And then they use it for many things. They make tires from it for cars and so on. Different things that let's see if I can share it. Yeah, I have it here. So you see, this is a pot made of gutta percha. That's where Srila Prabhupada speaking about. That formerly in sacrifices, they used golden utensils, golden pots, golden plates. We read in the Bhagavatam because Arjuna is also called Dhananjaya, conqueror of wealth, because on behalf of Yudhishthira Maharaj, who wanted to perform an Ashvamedha sacrifice, and for that you need a lot of gold and so on, golden plates and so on. He asked to go to the Himalayas and find some gold left by King Maruta. That's mentioned in the 9th canto. And King Maruta did great sacrifices, and they were so rich at that time that they used the plates, the golden plates, only one time and then threw them away. So, and Krishna is all-pervading, he knows everything, and he told Arjuna where to find this gold in Himalayas. And so Arjuna went and retrieved all these golden utensils and brought them to Yudhishthira Maharaj, who then used them in the Ashwamedha sacrifice. That's after the battle of Kurukshetra. That so there was a lot of riches that people. It is said formally, many centuries ago, in India, that in the common villages, that they had some golden ornaments and so on. That but today that is not there anymore. It's all plastic, or you see here Gutta Persha, Prabhupada writes. This Gutta Persha is yeah, it's these trees, these latex trees, they are especially found in Malaysia. That they used formerly to use them for making tires and so on, and not many other things. And that, but before it was gold. So now Prabhupada says yes, there are no riches anymore because they waste their valuable time in producing unwanted things. Prabhupada speaks in other lectures about these unwanted things, great factories. So a country's wealth is counted. Well, they use it. They measure it by how many factories they have, how many industries, and so on. That, but it are all unwanted things. That in former times there was no need for automobiles or these buses or transport. People were just staying in their village. They didn't move from that. And if they had to go somewhere, they took, they walked. That, but there was no need for that. But now life has become so more complicated. But for the sake of our spiritual advancement, yeah, we best make our lives as simple as possible. That so an advancement. Prabhupada was in, I think it was at the West Coast, Los Angeles or San Francisco, I'm not sure. But he was doing a wedding of Gaudas and Yamuna. And devotees didn't arrange for ghee for the sacrifice, but instead they used margarine. Margarine, they boiled it, it became liquid, and Prabhupada was doing the sacrifice, and the sacrifice starts with taking some wood and put it in the ghee, but they put it in the margarine and tried to lit it, but it went out. And it took a long time before it started to produce fire. And Prabhupada said to go down in Yamuna, your marriage will have a slow start. And Yamuna started to cry. That anyway, margarine, that it produces also a lot of smoke. That, but yes, for sacrifice we should use pure butter. So he writes here they are using margarine instead of pure butter. So there's certainly an history of course, Prabhupada wrote this before he went to the West, because this is the first canto. That's interesting. That So yes, this is important to live simple, that this modern society has not produced any good. It becomes difficult to get pure water, that to get pure food, that and it's pure air, it's all polluted. That and it causes so many problems. It becomes so complicated. That's so many problems it creates. Every day on the road, every day you read about people who die on the road. That it's horrendous. That, but yes, that we see Arjun is called conqueror of sleep. Of course, conqueror of sleep. It's not easy to conquer sleep, and we cannot imitate that because we need sufficient sleep. It is said that when we sleep, our body is recuperating, and is removing toxins, producing certain enzymes. So many maintenance is going on while we sleep. So we need deep sleep for that also, so that the subtle body can rest. And that process takes 8 hours. That Prabhupada said maximum sleeping 6 hours. Okay, when you are young, you can do that. But the issue there is that, or the a comment on that is that the Prabhupada said the 2 hours of chanting, that of japa, that counts as also as, for the sleep. So by that you have 8 hours. But we need proper rest. Otherwise, that's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Don't eat too much, not too less. Don't sleep too much, don't sleep less. Don't sleep too less. Because if you sleep too less, you cannot concentrate on the chanting. If you are sleeping too much, then you will have dreams, and you will have more covered by ignorance, what makes it also more difficult. So there must be, Krishna speaks about always about that balance, and that balance is important. Of course, the 6 Goswamis could do it with 2 hours, because they were driving on spiritual energy. That they were on the soul level, that they did not identify with the body, and were actively, spiritually using the spiritual body. They were liberated. These are high positions. But for us sadhakas, it's important to be very balanced. Another lesson to learn here is that when Maharaj Yudhishthir was reigning, then nature cooperates, and it produced all what was needed. That all these gifts of nature, that is a Vedic principle. This Vedic principle in Hinduism is called Rita. Rita means one has desires, and one knows how to fulfill these desires by cooperating with material nature. And that cooperation comes when we perform sacrifice. Therefore, the Vedas, the Rig Veda, the Atharva Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda, they have all their aranyakas, their descriptions of sacrifices to performed. And you have the solemn sacrifice. It's a big sacrifice with 4 priests, and then you have also, besides the 4 priests, you have the Brahma priest who knows the task of each of these priests and can take over or correct if needed. And that was this Vedic Ashvamedha sacrifices, but that was built. Yeah, they built 2 months on it to make the sacrifice area. It was a big thing, but they know how to please, when they please the Supreme Lord to sacrifices, all necessities of life will be supplied. And of course, this is also described in the 3rd chapter of the Gita, that I think it's near to text 20. Yeah, text 10, text 10, chapter 3. In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures set forth generations of men and demigods, along with sacrifices for Vishnu. So that's there from in the beginning. And they blessed them by saying, "Be thou happy by this Yajna, because its performance will bestow upon everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation." So this is the principle. You are pleasing the Supreme Lord, that, and of course all his great devotees, Brahma and Shiva, that then material nature will supply everything that is needed. But that same principle is also there in our Krishna conscious life. If we do a sacrifice for Vishnu, then and then everything will be supplied if we perform our sadhana and we follow Prabhupada's instructions. Krishna will provide everything we need. He says in Bhagavad Gita 7:25 and 9:22. Ananya Sintyantamam Yajna Prapasha Tesa Nityabhyuktanam Yogakshemarhamyam. Krishna says, when one performs pure devotional service unto me, I provide everything what they need and protect what they have. Prabhupada writes, so Krishna does everything to protect our Krishna consciousness and give us more opportunity to advance in Krishna consciousness. Means also he provides everything what's needed for the sacrifice. That the sacrifice which is meant to perform Lord Vishnu, according to 3.9 Bhagavad Gita. And so that is an important principle, but that principle goes a little further than just performing our sadhana. If we perform service for Krishna and we engage in Prabhupada's mission, so Krishna will provide what we need during the time we perform that mission, and he will protect us. So that's sometimes mystical, and Krishna's ways are not always easy to understand, because sometimes protecting means that he gives us suffering, and but that suffering is meant to correct us, and to and by that we become purified. We become purified, and it means that we suffer to never suffer again, because we become purified means we give up our attachments. That so this attachment and aversion These are the great issues in our or great obstacles. But by performing the Yajna for Vishnu, we become purified. Everything becomes purified. That was used in the sacrifice. That the person for whom the benefit is done become purified. That is a general principle. So that is Krishna's reciprocation, but also if we engage in Prabhupada's mission and we start to make plans, and the Buddhas are very enthusiastic to execute these plans, then Krishna start to reciprocate of, like Lakshmi will be very pleased if we try to please Srila Prabhupada or Krishna, and will provide what we need. So that is a general principle that Lakshmi will follow when Srila Prabhupada is pleased, when Krishna is pleased. Does not mean that, but this happens when we have pure intentions. If our intentions are not pure, if we want something for ourselves, that and we want 50% for ourselves, 50% for Krishna, no, that will not work. It must be 100% for Krishna to get Krishna's full reciprocation. So, of course, even if you have material desires, he will reciprocate, but not to the extent that he reciprocates with his pure devotees. So this is an important aspect. The hills, the oceans, and so on pay their quota. In that sense, to Maharaj Yudhishthira, because he did the sacrifice, a great sacrifice. That a sacrifice of Yudhishthira Maharaj means also a sacrifice of ruling the world as a pure devotee without attachment to the results. And that yields these results given by Krishna. That because, so in the Krishna conscious movement, usually in our temples, nobody is in need of anything. The devotee lives simple and we get everything what we want. Mostly our temples are full of beautiful art, clean, and so on. And the prasad is first class. This is also Krishna's reciprocation, because many times envious persons they approached Srila Prabhupada and said, "How is it you are not working and you have all this opulence?" That yes, but yes, it's Krishna reciprocating, but that and he reciprocates according to the degree of our purity. That and of course, Prabhupada says yes. Indirectly, he says we should not waste time for producing unwanted things. That unwanted things. That all this modern fabric of all these cars and all these machines, everything goes with machines today. That but what are the consequences? When I was in the 60s, when I was living in Belgium here in the 60s, we could not imagine that they would sell water in bottles. That was unheard of. That mobile phone did not exist. That came up mid-90s. That became a plague thereafter. That so life at that time was much more simple. Of course, at that time already this hellish factories came up and so on, that it's hellish, but anyway, that is, they call it advancement of civilization. But it's a degradation, wasting one's valuable human life for this sense gratification, because it's all sense gratification. And you have different political parties, and Prabhupada said, they argue that my program of sense gratification is better than yours. So that is what they are doing, that it's all about sense gratification. And that they place their country as first because they want a higher standard of sense gratification and so-called luxury for a body which is temporary. That they are worshipping this body like that's their big deity. They think it's everything, but it will soon fall apart. That if you make up that point to materialists, they become angry. Yeah, they become just angry. They cannot accept that everything is temporary and that their activities for sense gratification are mostly useless. But a devotee, he has conquered the ignorance. He understands that the atato jnasa, Brahman, Brahman, atato jnasa. Atato means now. Now is the time for inquiry about Brahman. Now it's time to inquire about the goal of life, about who we are, why we're suffering, and so on. That Atato Brahma Jignas, but now Atato, everyone thinks now it's the time to look at television. and all this program, all these activities of sense gratification. But this is a poison for it's poison for spiritual life. Therefore, generally, India is a better place than the United States for spiritual life, but that does not mean that we have to change our situation. In the United States, we can also create our communities and live simple. That make our own communities with our own farming and so on. And also that was also the program that Bhakti Charamaj wanted to develop. That, but it's very difficult because we have so become addicted to all these machines and so on. They get an easy life of sense gratification and no interest in working on the land. It's too hard work. So it's rare that devotees engage in this activities of agriculture and so on. But it becomes a necessity. Kali Yuga is progressing, and we should work on that as a community if we want to survive. That we make our own communities, that we get out of this system of these factories and depending on machines and so on. But it's not an easy thing. But a Prabhupada wanted that to live simple, high thinking. But yes, the principles of this verse are first, Arjuna is conqueror of sleep. We should conquer our ignorance by hearing Prabhupada's books, by studying the scriptures, that by discussing Krishna's pastimes, by engaging in our japa, chanting, and the sadhana program Prabhupada gives us, then we will conquer this ignorance. And about our material well-being, if we are if we are sincerely engaged in Prabhupada's mission, Krishna will provide. But Krishna gave us the Varnashram system, and that is the best way to live for spiritual life. Therefore, we should try to apply these principles as much as possible. Yes, so-called development of industrial enterprises, people are now using pots of Gutta Persia instead of metal like gold, silver, brass, and copper. Before in India, when 50 years ago, even not so long, even today in some villages, in the evening they come together to discuss Mahabharat or the Ramayana. But nowadays this is disappearing very quickly. Formerly in the little villages, small villages, there was even not yet electricity. But then surely electricity came and the TV came. Of course, we are like we have wood. From wood you can make an axe. So we can use this technology to help us in spiritual life, like we are using airplanes to travel and preach for the sannyasis. But generally, we should try to stay in one place, and we are using the internet now. That also using of these technologies. That's as far as it can be used in Krishna's service. But it should not be a goal in itself to produce all these things. But since they exist, we are using them today. That then, to the extent they can be used. So yes, use pure ghee. That's what it said, pure ghee. And like 30 years ago, there was a kind of ghee in India, and all the Brahmins were using that kind of ghee. It was the pure vegetarian ghee. But then about 20 years ago, someone inquired about this factory, and they investigated this factory, and they found around the factories a lot of dead corpses of pigs. It appeared that this pure vegetarian ghee contained 30% pig fat. And all these Brahmins were using that as a first-class ghee for so many years. So it's cheating. So we have also to be aware of that. Better to use make our own ghee, to be sure it's pure. That's Kali Yuga. Good. Any comments or questions, please? Yes, Mother Kylie.
Hey, Krishna Raj. Thank you so much for class. I really appreciate it. I always have so many questions and then you answer all of them, but I would like to ask for some advice, because what I'm hearing, especially where we are in the Bhagavatam right now, is a lot of this kind of going back to a more simple, more natural way of living. And like you mentioned, it's really difficult to do in the US, in Kali Yuga. And it takes like a lot of people. So I'm wondering here in Deland, because Bhakti Charamaj also wanted, he had this vision for this project. And I know my husband, he does the garden when the season is there. But what are some other practical steps that we can take that are like, that might give us more like enthusiasm to keep going because it's hard to start big. So what are some small things like little projects we can do to try to kind of go back to that natural living?
Yeah, well, what I would suggest is just a suggestion that we educate first the congregation in these principles, and that we can, during the Sunday feast, someone can give a lecture and speak about that, and give and show also slides or films of these projects that and prepare. Yeah, and then you can hold kind of istagosti, ask people for suggestions how to realize that in Deland. That and then see what comes from that. But to, of course, if suggestions comes, then you have to go to the next step and bring up these suggestions to the congregation, and because for each such for, because for each such project or sub project you need capital, and you need uh, devotees who are willing to participate, and then see what comes out of that. But I think it starts with sensibilizing, so educating people about the importance of this principle, make them enthusiastic. It may be a process, it may not go in one presentation. It's a gradual process that, but I think to a certain extent that happens already. The importance of the cow protection and so on is surely explained many times. But there are also other aspects. There is some land there who wants to help with agriculture and so on. That this see what the possibilities are. That so you can also get help from devotees who are developing Varnashram in ISKCON. There is a minister for agriculture and cow protection. It's good maybe that they regularly come in to speak. And then, yeah, we hope for the best and see what comes from that. Does that help, Mordecai?
Yeah, that does. Sounds like just becoming, maybe we can also learn more ourselves and then we can try to find those who are like-minded and come together with some ideas. So that's what I'm hearing. So
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah. But that has to be done as a group, as a congregation. Everyone should be behind it. That's very good.
Thank you.
Anything else? Good, if there are no questions. So I'll stop here.